and being able to really talk about the benefits of EXP from a not just an individual agent standpoint, but a team and brokerage owner standpoint. So I am super excited to kind of go through this today. I'm sure I've got my notes here every time I teach a class for the first time. I usually end up adding things and taking suggestions from you as well. So I'm excited that you guys are all on here. So we are being live streamed. I am going to also just hit record real quick. And we're ready to rock and roll. Welcome to week 3 of Agent Attraction Mastery. We have a very exciting hour ahead of us. It's going to hopefully be jam-packed of information that you can use, and I'll be learning from you as well as we go. I've had several conversations this week about, hey, Meg, how do I talk to a team? Or I'm talking to a brokerage owner, but I can't remember all the benefits and that kind of thing. So at about midnight last night, I just decided to change course for the week. And we are going to dive in and talk about all the benefits from a team and broker ownerage perspective. There are different challenges, right, that everyone has. So we'll be talking about what their challenges are, how to start those conversations. We've already talked about where to find these people, and now we're going to dive in deeper to how to present the opportunity of EXP. So if you'll allow me to share my screen, we're going to dive right in. So let's go here real quick from the beginning. Okay, perfect. And how do I get to full screen? Sorry. Let me get better at this. I'm working on it. 1 second. I thought it would show up on my Zoom screen here, but slideshow from current slide. There we go. All right. So understanding the benefits of EXP for individuals, teams, and brokerage owners. There are so many benefits, right, for all of us with EXP Realty, from individual agents to teams to brokerage owners. So this slide basically just kind of goes over the benefits for all, right? So even when you are talking with teams or brokerage owners, these will be included, but we'll go into more details on those here in just a little bit. Obviously, the flexibility and convenience of being with a cloud-based brokerage. You get to work from anywhere. We have our worldwide corporate support and training accessible from wherever you are. Corporate, local broker, and broker team support on a massive scale. And we've talked about all of that, but being able to access them live and instant through and interactive through EXP World, attending classes taught by icon agents, being able to connect with your broker, your compliance team, your transactions team right in EXP World instantly. Also, we have so much availability through Workplace for communication, which we're going to dive into in a few minutes. High splits and low fees, more money in their pocket. The Icon Award, obviously, for top producers, you get your entire cap back in company stock, which has never been heard of before in this industry. Stock ownership for producing agents, the best technology tools in the industry. Increased efficiency equals increased productivity. And I strive that a lot, or stress that a lot when I'm talking with individual agents, teams, and brokerages, right? Because whatever our company can provide us to be more effective and more efficient, then that gives us more time to be either generating leads or, motivating our team, or being able to be on vacations if that's what we really want to do and spend more time on us as an individual. Company shared revenue with all agents who help the company grow, and collaboration with agents worldwide. Step outside of your usual growth box. I love using that term. You're able to step outside of your usual box of how we have grown and learned in this industry with EXP. Talking for a few minutes, some talking points about our communication and our convenient support systems within EXP. Obviously, EXP World is instant, live, and interactive communication with staff. Our support teams are IT, where they can take over your computer and fix it, onboarding, accounting, managing broker rooms, and agent services. So all of that is, it's good to describe it as instant, live, and interactive. Easy support and communication with your managing broker and local support team. I think it's important sometimes to always bring the EXP benefits back down to the ground, right? Back down to their city, to their town. How am I going to benefit locally and get support locally? So we can workplace instant chat our brokers and our support team. We can call them, we can email them, and we can even visit them live, interactive, and instant in our EXP World Broker staterooms. So all of those things, I think it's important to reiterate how quick and how easy it is to get your support in relation to comparison to us with another brokerage. Of course, one of the biggest differences with us is no franchise fees. For so many agents and so many teams across the globe, this is a huge deal. Those franchise fees never go away. They're there year after year after year, right? Just so that they can have a global name and a global international support system. We have all of that. So we give them all the support and then some, plus the name recognition, plus the global referrals, on and on and on and on with EXP. Impact worldwide benefits. I want to talk for a minute. I mean, if you are on this call on the Zoom right now, or if you are listening in on Impact Worldwide, you are a part of one of the most amazing instant families within EXP, right? So I call Impact Worldwide our immediate close-knit family, kind of like your brothers, your sisters, your mom, and your dad within this huge global entity. You know, sometimes it's easy for people to feel like I'm going to get lost in an 85,000 agent brokerage, especially if there's not an office. Well, you have your instant family that you pop right into, and you're able to get support through collaboration and support from over 3,500 agents globally within EXP, within Impact. We have private Facebook pages, global and state, with coaching sessions, classes, etc., that happen almost on a daily basis. It's all free to you. Private impact masterminds via Zoom with top agents across the world, continuous support from your sponsor and everyone in your up team. And that means anyone above your sponsor. Okay, we've talked about that a lot in the last couple of weeks. And then your up team assists you with agent attraction. So don't feel like you need to remember every single thing we're talking about today. And there's so much more that we won't be able to talk about today that I just simply can't fit in. But you make the introduction, you pique their interest, and then you immediately reach out to whoever your sponsor is, and they help you get connected with people that are leaders within the company for those three-way calls or in-person meetings. And we wrap it up in a bow for you, right? So you do the intriguing, we wrap it up in a bow. All right, let's move right into speaking with team leaders. Team leaders meaning they're running a real estate team. Okay, I know a lot of people think of teams in a lot of different ways with this company, not revenue share groups, but team leaders that are running a real estate team. They have different benefits, specific benefits with EXP, in addition to the ones that we've already discussed this morning. So I want to talk about some of their pain points, right? Recruiting and retention is number one. You talk to any team leader, and here's what happens. Hey, I want to hire you. I'm going to go with John because he's next on my screen. Hey, John, I want to hire you to be on my team. I need you as a buyer's agent or a listing agent. John says, great, Meg, let's do this. And I train him and I coach him and I provide him with my systems and my tools, and he helps me brand my team, and everything's going great until what? About 2 years in, usually, John comes to me and he says, Meg, I need to talk to you. And then we sit down and I know what's coming as a team leader. It's the thank you meeting, right? The one that all team leaders dread. It's thank you so much for all that you've given me in this industry, and you've trained me, and you've brought me up right, and you've supported me, and you've increased my sphere, and blah, 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 blah. I'm ready to go fly on my own. So that is the most painful thing for any team leader to hear. Why? Because in every other brokerage, when that team member becomes an individual agent, you have to just wash your hands of them. They're gone. They are now your direct competition, which is awful, right? Because you've taught them all the great things they need to know. But secondly, you have no financial benefit from then on for that team member that you poured your soul into for that year, that 2 years, sometimes that 5 years. You've given so much. So recruiting, finding people to join a team and being able to show benefits to an agent is one challenge that team leaders have, but keeping them is another challenge. So let's talk about that. With EXP, attraction wise, recruiting wise, it's super easy to attract top talent to your team versus someone at Remax or Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker, when you can say, hey, with me, you get all the benefits of EXP. Just like I do, you're going to be a shareholder. You're going to have the chance to grow residual income for a retirement plan. Everything that I normally offer you or any other team could normally offer you, I can offer you plus all of this amazing support, collaboration, growth from agents across the globe, and stock and revenue share. Okay. Agents on your team then do not want to leave EXP. They may want to leave you, and they always say nothing personal, right? That's like the classic line, nothing personal, thank you for everything, but I'm ready to fly. And quite frankly, as a good team leader, I think you should want them to, because there is plenty of business in this world to go around, and that means that you've done a great job. However, it really is awful to know that they're leaving and all that work you put into them, you get nothing for in the future. With us, agents on your team do not want to leave EXP. When they're ready to fly on their own, what do they already have with us? Stock. They have stock shares sitting in a stock account that they would have to walk away from. That's part of a retirement plan that they have been able to start building, right? Secondly, they probably are going to be receiving revenue share from at least one or more agents that they have been able to bring into the company under them. So they don't want to lose that monthly income. So what typically we see happening is when an agent wants to leave a team, they leave the team, they start their own brand, right, as an individual agent, or start their own team, but they're still under the EXP umbrella, which means you as the team leader forever and ever will still be receiving that revenue share from the closings that they and other people under them have in the future. So it's huge. We really, really address that recruiting and retention pain point that team leaders have. Secondly, time efficiency and reduced costs for the team leader. So obviously, as a team leader, you're wearing a ton of different hats. Happens every day, all day, right? They're managing staff if they have admin. They're managing agents. They're trying to keep up with leads and who gets the leads and who's crying because they haven't gotten enough leads and who's converting leads or who's not using their systems to convert leads. It's a lot. Plus, trying to list and sell homes on top of all that. So anything that a company can do for a team leader that makes them more efficient and effective and reduces their costs is huge. And that's exactly what EXP does for a team leader. Our broker teams handle questions from agents on compliance. They do all the contract review. Everything is super easily reviewed and set up through SkySlope for that team leader. We have the best training in the industry. So that cuts back on that team leader feeling like, I've got to give more for training this agent. This agent is new in the business and they don't know all about showings and they don't know how to convert leads. And I've got to teach them and train them and train them. They can go into EXP world and get trained by the best in the world. The Icon Agent series are there to teach them all those basics that the team leader has to take so much time to train them in. And then KV Core is another huge time efficiency tool and a huge cost reduction tool for a team leader. It is easier to use, more effective in assigning and tracking leads, and it's way less expensive to generate leads for your team through KV Core than it is to pay Zillow or Realtor.com, etc., like so many team leaders are doing. I wanted to mention too, I always do, we forgot to go through homework, and I'm so sorry, but for those of you that have been on weeks 1 and 2, if you can please type in the chat box so that I can see here on Zoom who had some successes this week, and I'd love for you to share them. Or if you were just able to get some calls in, let me know. If you had, some challenges, I want to discuss them. Have you identified your accountability partner? All the things we talked about last week, I'd love a quick update on. And if you have any questions throughout this session, please put those in the chat box, and we're going to get to those for sure at the end. Okay, let's talk about brokerage owners for a few minutes. And this may be a little shorter session today, but I do want to do some role playing at the end as well. Brokerage owner benefits and challenges. So basically the conversation with a brokerage owner is, hey, let us take over that liability. Do you realize that every night that broker owner puts their head on the pillow, they're probably thinking, did anybody do anything wrong today? Did any of my licensees make a mistake? Or that lawsuit is hanging over my head. I really hope we're able to resolve that without it busting my bank, right? Sorry, I just saw a message really quickly. Awesome, guys. Thank you for the update. Ashley, happy Tuesday. Called 12 agents, booked 4 appointments, 3 successful appointments, and 1 conversation from those. That is awesome. I'm so happy for you. That is so cool. I've got a challenge for you at the end of today's call as well, but awesome work, Ashley. That's great. Marge, no reliable accountability partner yet, but working on it. That's great. If anybody listening into this on Impact Worldwide Live or on this Zoom is still looking or would like an accountability partner to make some agent calls and help each other with that scripting, contact Marge McCreesh, MCCREESH. But let's see, I used it quite a bit. 2 Zoom appointments scheduled, and I will invite them to your meeting next Tuesday. Awesome. That is so great. Marge, I'm really happy for you. Great stuff. I love hearing those success stories. Okay, so as a brokerage owner, they're laying their head on the pillow saying, wow, what could potentially make me lose my license or break the bank? They have a ton of costs. We're going to talk about all of that, all of their overhead, their brick and mortar, their E&O insurance, their corporation expenses, their staff expenses, everything, all the upfitting and the cost of maintaining the building, the insurance on the building, E&O insurance, and then not to mention all the time-sucking responsibilities that a broker owner has. You think about a team leader, and a broker owner really has all of those responsibilities on steroids. Talk about wearing different hats every day. Broker owners literally wear like 50 different hats in any given day. It's payroll, staffing issues, managing staff, agents, getting agents to come in the office, trying to train, find new trainings, compete with other big brokerages. There's just so many challenges. So the conversation really easily with them to begin it is, let us take over the liability, the costs, and time-sucking responsibilities, and let you have fun leading your team. So we want them to know they still get to lead their team. That's the beautiful thing about this. And then we're going to talk in a few minutes about the fact that they also get to keep their brand, which is so huge with company owners. Let's talk about their challenges, broker owner challenges. It is amazing. When you look at the amount of overhead that an independent brokerage owner has. Many of you know, I was raised by parents who owned their own brokerage for many years, and then ended up rolling it into, at the time, a Century 21 franchise, and then Remax. And at that time, that's the only option they had, right? To be able to expand into another market. Ooh, that's something I need to add to this. Sorry, I'm writing this down because again, I knew there would be a few things I had forgotten. Teams, let's go back really quick. Team leaders, expansion is another challenge for them. For brokerage owners, expansion is another challenge for them. And for us with EXP, as a team leader, if you want to take your team, your brand, and your tools, and as a brokerage owner, if you want to take your brand and your tools across state lines or into other cities, and you go with a franchised company, you have to pay the franchise fees in different cities and in different states. So it really adds up if you try to create a team outside of your local market. It's funny, Keller Williams did a huge push back about 7 or 8 years ago on expansion teams. Expand your team and all your tools and your recruiting possibilities outside of your local market. And you really don't hear much about it anymore, guys, except with EXP because of the brick and mortar cost and the franchise costs. It just was too extensive for a team leader or a brokerage owner to be able to go outside of their local market. With us, you can expand across city lines and across state lines across the country for one cap of $16,000 a year for no franchises, no extra overhead expenses. It's literally just signing up with EXP in that state, joining the MLS, and you're off and running. So that has been a massive advantage to many teams and brokerage owners across the country. So want to make sure I add that in next time, but at least we thought of it here real quick. So for brokerage owners, their overhead is just a huge challenge, right? The office, the staff, all the upkeep, the maintenance, the insurance, all of that. Staff overhead and management, lead generation costs, technology costs. I mean, keeping up with technology in today's day and age, just as a person, right? Like, how do I save my receipts the easiest and best way? I've got to learn a new system for my Sphere. I've got to learn a new system for, my home finances. All of it is just constantly changing. So imagine that on steroids, trying to not only figure out the best and latest and greatest technology tools for you as a brokerage owner, but for your whole team. And also trying not to break the bank in doing that. So technology costs are super high, E&O insurance costs, marketing tools, they have to be able to try to compete, right? These indie brokers are trying to compete with the worldwide companies. KW, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Remax, they've got all the tools in place for marketing just like we do. But in order to get all of those for their agents, if they went with anyone else, they have to buy a franchise, a huge upfront investment for an independent brokerage to be able to roll in to a franchised company. With us, zero, pretty much. I mean, they may have to join another MLS if they have agents in that, but so I'm writing that down too to add in. Okay, training, again, we talked about that. And then there are two biggest challenges, just like team leaders, because really a brokerage owner is a team leader, right? They just have a lot more liability and a lot more overhead. So they're leading a team and their biggest challenge is recruiting. And second biggest challenge is retention. Why? Why is it hard for them to retain? Because of trying to keep up with all of this, right? It is a huge challenge to recruit and retain agents when agents can step across the street and go get the benefits of an international brokerage. And lastly, the biggest challenge for independent brokerages is keeping their brand. I mean, it's a big time personal thing. And I say this because my maiden name is Rao, and my parents' real estate brokerage was Rao Realty back in Farmer City, Illinois, all those years. And it was blood, sweat, and tears put into not just building the brand, the marketing, the branding, but growing that reputation. right? And spreading the word that, hey, we are the independent brokerage that you want to use. We are the real estate company of choice. When they try to take their team as a brokerage owner to any other company, if they wanted to try to roll in anywhere, they would lose the brand. Number one, they cannot keep their team, their company brand, and they would lose all of that momentum that they worked all those years, to grow. With EXP, they get to keep it. I mean, it's like unheard of. It's never been heard of in the industry that they get to keep that brand, and be able to just roll right into us, keep the colors, keep the look of their brand, keep the advertising they've been doing about their brand. And at the very bottom corner of everything, it just has to say brokered by EXP Realty. So it could still be Rao Realty, brokered by EXP Realty, right? Stephen James Real Estate Group, brokered by EXP Realty. Whatever it is, they are able to keep that. And I will tell you, we all know there are a lot of egos involved in real estate, right? Saying amen. We got an amen to that one. The biggest egos are the brokerage owners. And I'm sorry if you're a brokerage owner listening into this, or a former brokerage owner, but it's so true. And you know what? Quite frankly, they kind of have a right to that, because they did pour a lot into these companies to grow them from scratch. They have really put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it. So approach it that way. Stroke their ego and say, hey, you have no idea how much respect I have for anyone that A, had the courage, two, the knowledge, and B, the wherewithal to withstand, the ups and downs of markets with an independent brokerage, to start a brand from scratch and grow it and thrive. I have the utmost respect for you. And I can also feel your pain, because I talk to a lot of brokerage owners, and I do know that especially as this market shifts, the overhead costs of a brokerage, when those sales start slowing down, unfortunately, those overhead costs do not change. And I feel for you. And I'd love to have a discussion with you about how EXP may be able to relieve all of that stress in your life, allow you to enjoy what you do best. Obviously, you're fantastic at leading a team, because look what you've created. You've earned the respect of all these agents, and I want you to not lose that. I would love for you to continue growing that team and leading that team, being their fearless leader with all the answers, without any of the liability, any of those daily management responsibilities, and any of that stress. Would you be open to have a conversation with me about that, in knowing that you can still keep your brand? So I wanted you to know that's a very important part of any conversation with a brokerage owner. I call it being pregnant. Like, if I owned a brokerage for 15 years, it's almost like being pregnant for 15 years. You got to nurture yourself. You have to eat the right things. You got to do everything right, right? It's like miserable. 9 months of pregnancy is miserable, but having a 15-year pregnancy before really birthing, a company, it's excruciating. So empathize with them. Speak to the fact that you have spoken with other brokerages, or you have friends that have owned brokerages, whatever your situation may be, and that you would love just to have a conversation with them about how EXP is the medicine for the pain that many, many, many brokerage owners across the globe have felt and are now enjoying as, relief from, as they moved in with EXP. Any comments? Oh gosh, Amani, I'm so proud of you. Last week you set 5 appointments, held 3, and 1 joined. I know who that is. I'm so excited for you. You're crushing it out there in Austin, Texas. If anybody has Austin, Texas referrals, look up Amani Wang. She's awesome. And I know we have another call to help another agent get onboarded. I believe it's tomorrow. So I have that on my calendar, and I'm excited to be partnered with you and help through any of that. Let's talk for just a minute about, how to kind of start the conversations with these team leaders, address straight up some of these concerns, some of these challenges that we've talked about today. If you can make yourself a little cheat sheet that just says team challenges, team leader challenges, brokerage owner challenges, individual agent challenges, right? And just have those ready to roll off the tip of your tongue. I have people texting me and calling me a lot that say, what do I say to a team owner, right, or a brokerage owner? These things right here, guys, if you just keep them in a little bullet point list, the things that we've gone over, I'm happy to, talk with you about it, but really this is how you intrigue them. By starting conversations, addressing any pain points that they have, asking them, as we've discussed many times throughout this series, hey, what are the things you could change about your team or your company if you could? What are the challenges you're feeling in this economy with your business, with your team, or with your brokerage? And then just taking it from there. If you've got these bullet points in your mind of how EXP is the medicine for the pain, then as soon as you hear that pain point, you're able to speak very in general, non-detailed terms, I guess I could say, about that. What you don't want to do, as we've discussed, is start diving in. Oh my gosh, well, EXP could do this and this and this and this and this, and vomiting EXP. Instead, you want to intrigue them. You want to pique their interest. And then you immediately, as we've discussed a lot, want to say, hey, would you be open? That's the best question. If I could schedule a 30-minute call with a leader in EXP who successfully transitioned a team, right, and has thrived with the company. If I could schedule a 30-minute call with that person, that team leader, would you be open to, listening in on what they've enjoyed about the company? I'm not asking you to make a move, but, I think you would really be intrigued because their situation was almost exactly like yours. With that being said, I want to go back to, we've talked about something else we've talked about, and that is learning people's stories. Learning people's stories. You can go to your revenue share dashboard, and now I love it. On the front page of that revenue share dashboard, where you can track your rev share by the day, even if you don't have anyone in your organization, you need to go there because it shows you everyone in the 7 levels above you, basically. Okay. So for me, it shows Shelly Johnson. I'm her level 1. AJ Maida, I'm his level 2. Cliff Friedman, I'm his level 3 agent. Does it go straight to Brent? Brent Go, then Gene Frederick. So pretty incredible that you got that list right there. Guess what, guys? It would make their day if you go in and look at that list and you send a workplace chat message to each of those people above you. That is your team. That is your up team. Okay. They are all there to support you. We are all linked together through stock ownership and revenue share in this company. And everyone wants everyone to succeed at the highest level possible. So it would make their day if you said, hey, I was just on an agent attraction call and I was told to reach out to the people that are in my up team. I would love to get to know your story. Could we schedule a 15-minute call, a Zoom call, where I can learn more about you and your story so that I can use that when I'm talking with agents? Do people love talking about themselves? Absolutely. They love it, right? So it's a great compliment to them. But go, if you haven't yet, today, go to your revenue share tracking page, your dashboard, look up your up team, and I challenge you as part of your homework to send a private message through workplace chat to everyone in your up team, introducing yourself, telling them a little bit about you, and asking for a 30-minute Zoom call sometime in the next week. I want you to learn these people's stories, okay? The more stories you learn, you use those stories. You don't have to use yours. You know, that most of the people you'll be talking to, or many of them, as we've discussed, are your peers. You know, you're selling against them on a daily basis. They don't want to hear so much about how you thrived at EXP, but they love and be intrigued to hear how somebody 3 levels above you rolled in a team of 12 people. And like the LePage Johnson team, I think they rolled in 10 people 5 years ago. Listen to this, write this down, because this is one story you can use, but reach out to Shelly Johnson and Craig LePage if they're in your up team. They will be more than happy to hop on a call and explain it more. But when I got the call from Shelly Johnson about EXP, she had 10 members on her team. And she said, I want you to bet this, see what you think. Called her back. I said, I think this is incredible. So they rolled their team in, and they were currently at 35 million a year in closed sales volume. That was 5 years ago, with Keller Williams, by the way. And they had been a team with Keller Williams for, I think, 7 years. Same amount of time I had been with the company. So they were $35 million producing 10-member team, doing nothing other than rolling into EXP, right? And integrating themselves into the company and getting to know top producing agents that do way more than they did at that time across the globe, attending Icon Series classes, learning from the best of the best, attending masterminds, everything they could get their hands on to help them learn how to grow and expand their team. Their team, and I could be off by a little bit because I haven't talked to them about it lately, but I'm almost positive this year, 5 years in, their team is on track to close 150 million in closed sales volume. From 35 million 5 years ago to 150 million today, with the same 10, they might have 12 now or maybe 15, not increasing their team three times the size, right? Pretty much with the same team they came in with. So think about the power of just being able to say that, knowing some stories, sharing that little bit, like, hey, I want you to talk to Shelly Johnson and Craig LePage. They grew their team from 35 million to 150 million in 5 years with no extra added costs, but really taking advantages of the benefits of being with eXp Realty. Would you be open to just having a fun conversation with them? They're super awesome, down to earth people, right? If you don't learn stories, you have nothing to share a lot of the times. So don't think, well, I don't have a story, so I can't talk to teams. Yes, you can. I share Shelly and Craig's story all the time. I share Cliff Friedman's story. I share Gene Frederick's story, who I'm his level 7. I share the fact that Gene Frederick owned 6 Keller Williams franchises out in the western part of the country, mostly California, and I think maybe Arizona and Utah, I'm not sure. He owned 6 Keller Williams franchises and an entire Keller Williams region in like the Palo Alto, California area, one of the highest revenue earning regions within Keller Williams. Gene Frederick had retired. He and his wife were living the life, just bringing in money from Keller Williams, from these franchises, and from this whole region. They had their whole life ahead of them set in stone. Gene Frederick got a call from Glenn Sanford one day, and Glenn said, I want you to come to my house. I want us to sit down on my back porch and talk about EXP. And I can just envision the two of them because I know them. They sat out there for hours. And by the end, Gene went home after a day or two with Glenn, and he walked into his beautiful wife, Susan, and he said, if I told you that our entire future was tied up and dependent on Blockbuster, and I had the chance to depend on Netflix for our future retirement income, what would you say? That's powerful, right? And she looked at him and she goes, you're about to tell me you're selling everything, aren't you? And he was like, yep. And that's what happened. And his story is absolutely incredible. I mean, as a guess, I would say Gene Frederick is probably earning 13 to 15 million this year in revenue share alone. He doesn't even have a real estate team anymore. He has no ownership and no liability in anything. So incredible stories to be shared, but learn them. Another great place to learn them is My EXP Life, whatever. Does anybody happen to know the direct link to that? I don't have it in front of me right now. But if you go to Workplace and go to EXP Realty Announcements, where I say every single week, you need to be spending a lot of time there. It's a wonderful place. But if you go there and scroll through, you're going to see some stories every week that are shared about top teams that have joined, brokerages that have rolled in, icon individual agents that have joined EXP, and they share their whole story. So if there's a link that they provide in there where you can go, and I think it's My EXP Life or something like that, but you can find them on EXP Realty Announcements. Share those. I love it. I mean, like, save the link. I've shared them with top teams. I've shared them with brokerage owners, but if you're not listening to these stories, finding them and listening to them and digesting them, you can't share them. And it's exciting. It's awesome, awesome, awesome stuff to share. So those are the kinds of stories that if it's in print or if it's a video, I'll save the link and then I go to Facebook and I have a whole list of agents I can look through that I've been sending messages to off and on, or inviting them to different masterminds or events. I'll go in, and if that particular My Life story from an agent pertains to them and their business, I'll send it to them through Messenger, or I'll text it to them, or just say, hey, I thought this might interest you. Don't say anything about it. Just say, this is a story of an agent that brought in a 15-member team like yours. I thought it might interest you. Send it. So things like that can be extremely helpful. But the three-way calls enable those stories to be shared. And there's so much to be said for that validation, right? Not just hearing from you as their local peer that could go steal a listing from them tomorrow. Even though they may like you, you could still steal a listing from them tomorrow, right? This is instead hearing the stories from people that they perceive as, wow, this is a big leader, and they feel privileged and important to be included in this conversation. Homework this week, and then I want to address some specific questions. Open up your mics. We'll have a good 10 minutes to, can you believe I'm done early for once? That never happens. I guess I'm trying to be more efficient these days. But homework, in addition to go back to your week 1 homework, make sure you've completed all of that. You've got your system in place. You have your database uploaded. You have your drip campaigns set up on how you want to stay in touch with these agents. You found agents and you have your 100 agent list from all over the world that you want to connect with and stay connected with. All of those things. You found your accountability partner. You've got a time slotted for 2 hours a week on your calendar to make calls with that accountability partner on Zoom. It's really powerful stuff. And I do believe it will really, really help you in the long run. This week, in addition to all of that, with your accountability partner, I want to challenge you to reach out to at least 5 team leaders. If you don't feel comfortable doing it with people in your market, guess what? There's this really cool thing called Google. And you can go to Google and you can type in a city name and you can say teams in Boulder, Colorado, right? Teams in Nantucket, wherever you can expand this anywhere in the world. So if you'd rather practice on some people that are not in your local market, go for it, right? Expand that list. So create a new list this week. I should have put that in here as well. Create a new list of team leaders and company brokerage owners. You say, hey, should I go for the big indie brokerages, or should I go for the small fish? Any of them, to be honest. Might it be a little easier for conversion and transition and timing for the smaller brokerages? Yes. Might they be hurting a little more with this economy change? Yes. So, in that sense, they're a little bit easier, but for any indie broker, it doesn't matter the size, they're still feeling all of these struggles. So make the call. I've talked about Bob Gogger. I'm not sure if Bob is able to be on here today. But I challenged Bob, I think on one of our conversations, it's been months ago, we had a conversation and he said, Meg, there's an independent brokerage owner that I really, really respect, but I don't really know him. And I'm like, pick up the phone and call him. He's like, what do I say? So we had a one-on-one conversation about the pain points, that broker might be feeling. And I think I told the story last week, but we are now in the final discussions with a brokerage owner that has 80 agents. And that is going to change that brokerage owner's life, Bob Gogger's life, and all the agents with that brokerage's lives. And it's so exciting. And it's really been a blast. So did he know all the right things to say? No. Did he know the guy? No. But he just picked up the phone. And I think in the end, if you don't have a list of those teams and brokerage owners that you want to connect with, I would go ahead and create that this week. And also reach out to a minimum of 5 team leaders and brokerage owners with your accountability partner. And if you have any questions about maybe a specific brokerage that you've looked up and, you say, well, they've got this many locations and this and that, give me a call or give your sponsor a call. And we're happy to talk one-on-one about maybe ways to approach a specific scenario. Okay. All right, questions. Let me go back and see here. Last week, Manny, that was awesome. You're welcome. Stephen, I think if you speak with brokers owners as a merger, it goes better. Yes, for sure. They're not closing their brand. They're merging in and continuing. That's a great way to word it. They're merging in and continuing all the success that they've created with a global international name, all the international benefits that these larger companies have with no franchises, no startup costs, which is the biggest, challenge that they have if they're trying to merge in with one of those brokerages. Need a Rockstar agent for a buy and sell referral in Alexandria, Virginia. Bambi, thank you for sharing that. There's the power of impact right there. Anyone that is in Alexandria, Virginia that knows luxury well, please contact Bambi McGraw. Manny, I know you know Bambi. You say you have someone. Yes, contact Bambi and she can get you hooked up with that. Bambi, I would also put it on the Impact Worldwide referral page as well on Facebook. We all work together, gang. I love that. Any comments or questions? Open up your mics. I'm going to stop share for a minute, and so we can just have a discussion if anyone would like. Those of you joining us live, I'm going to look in real quick and see if I see comments or questions. So if you have any, this would be the time to pop those in. And any suggestions, things I might have forgotten. See here.
Meg, I love the Shelley Johnson story again, and I've heard it so many times, but it's so what Amani needs right now for her small team that she's talking to. So that was perfect. It's so good to remember those stories.
Yeah, we have so much that we learn and have to remember. So Amani, if you have not checked out those My Life stories, you could find some that are almost direct correlation with that team and with the broker owner, that I know you've been conversing with out there as well. So go in and use these resources, guys. It will really, really, benefit you and your entire group in the long run.
I will. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. So someone mentioned on Facebook, Diana, do I have scripts? So this is the 3rd week of this series. It will be happening next Tuesday morning at 11 a.m., same time, same place again. I'm gonna pop the registration link into the Facebook comments as soon as I end this live so that everyone can go ahead and register. In fact, I may have it. No, I thought I already had it up here. So let me do this. I'm going to pop in the link to register, and then you can go ahead and have it on your calendar for next week. We did go over scripting last week, and I'm sorry we did not stream live. But today I knew was probably pretty helpful for people just to be reminded of benefits. But if I'm also going to put one other thing in here for recordings of other sessions, please email my assistant and she can send those to you. Okay. So if you email this email address, Deanna, she can email you the recordings from the last 2 weeks, which do include a lot of scripts for kind of all these different things. So please email. Oops, sorry. All right. Any other questions? Y'all, thank you so much for all of your time these past 3 weeks. Next week, I'm not going to let you know who it is yet, but we are interviewing someone in my upline, who's an absolute rock star. So not going to give it away yet, but be here 11 o'clock sharp, and you'll be able to ask questions of them, hear their story and their successes, learn even more scripts from them. And for anyone watching on Facebook, as soon as we get off, I will be putting the link to join next week in the comments, as well as the email if you'd like recordings of the past 2 weeks. Okay. I hope everybody has an awesome Tuesday. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Mom.